Let's get started by creating a database that we can import our Excel data into. All I've done here is I've just clicked on the icon for Microsoft Access and opened the program. This is the introductory screen that you see. And what I want to do is come over here toward this right area and get this blank database create button visible. And what I want to do now is navigate to where I want to store this database. And I'm just going to click this this little folder icon here, again in the lower right, and navigate to where I want to put the file. In my case, I'm working off of a thumb drive, so that would be right here in a subdirectory on that thumb drive called CAR, Computer System Reporting, and in a subdirectory there called Dog Licenses. So this is where I want to put the database, and all I do is before I click OK, let's give it a unique file name, something that will help us find it again. And let's just call it Dog Licenses. Alright. And then click OK. And finally, the Create button right here. Okay, and Microsoft Access has created a database, and it's now waiting for us to bring some files in. The next step is to get those files in there by importing them. I've already opened up our 3 Excel files. Here's city employees, here's dog licenses, and finally the rabies vaccine data. I also have in front of me the code book for each of these 3 data sets. And obviously this is pretty clean data. I've created this for you, but before you import anything, you would naturally want to look at the code book here and look at each of the data files that you have and make sure that what you see in the data file matches up with the code book and appears to be clean and free of errors and all that sort of thing. For now, you can assume that this is. Alright, so to import these files, let's get back to Microsoft Access. And it's simply a matter of coming to this external data button right here, clicking on it, and then choose Excel, because that's the format of the files that we're going to import. Click Excel, okay, and then browse to where the document, the spreadsheet files that you want to import are. Notice by default the import the source data into a new table in the current database option is selected. That's the one we want. I'm going to click the Browse button and go to where my spreadsheets are stored. In that case, it's again back on my thumb drive in that car and dog licenses subfile. And I'll just start with the top one on the list, city employees, and I'll just double click on it. Okay, and then click OK. And up pops this little dialog menu that's asking me about the different fields here. And I'm just going to look at this and make sure everything's correct. I could edit individual fields if I needed to. I'll show you that in a minute. But I'm going to click Next for now. Okay. Notice that the first row in my spreadsheet contains the variable names or the column headings. So I want to tell Access that that's the case. Otherwise, it would read that first row as data to be imported as a record. Okay. When I click this little box here, then it tells Access that this column is the column labeled last, this one's labeled first, and address, and so forth. Okay, clicking Next. Here's where I can edit the column properties if I want to. Microsoft Access takes a guess at what kind of data is in each of these columns. Here, Access has correctly deduced that this is text data rather than one of these other things. Okay. Usually you can go with the defaults here. If you have numbers and Access thinks it's text, or if it's text and Access thinks it's numbers or whatever, you can change things around here. But all these seem to be correct, so I'm going to go ahead and go with the defaults here. Click Next. Okay. This is asking you to assign a primary key, which is something we really don't need for this exercise. A primary key is just a unique number that Access makes up and assigns to each record. It shows up here in this ID column. For what we're doing, this would actually make things more confusing. So let's click No Primary Key right there. And then finally Next. Okay, now we need to give the table a name. By default, it picks up the name from the Excel file, City Employees. That's just fine for this exercise. So let's go ahead and click Finish. Okay, and finally close. You can save your import steps if you want to. It's not really necessary in this case, but click Close. All right, and you have a brand new table here in your database file. If you click on it, you can look at it, and look at that. It looks an awful lot like the spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet that we imported. Okay, so let's do the other two now real quickly. We can probably run through these a little faster. I'm going to click Excel again and browse. Okay, I've already done city employees. Let's pick up dog license data next. Okay, clicking OK, clicking Next, telling Access about the column headings. Next. Okay, this all looks correct. And no primary key. And Next. And that name's just fine, so let's click Finish and close. Got that one. Let's do the last one. Browse rabies vaccine data. Okay. Whoops, I think I forgot a step. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, next. First row contains column headings. There we go. Next. And next. No primary key. Next. And that name's okay. Finish. And close. So there we go. We've got all three of our tables imported. City employees, dog license data, and rabies vaccine records. Notice we have an empty table here that we just don't really need. That's the one that Access created by default when we just open up this data set. What you can do is you can close that table by clicking this little X over here. Highlighting table 1 on the tabs here first, and then clicking the X. Okay, and it closes it, and because there's no data in there, it just kind of goes away, and that way it won't confuse you. Alright, so we've got all of our data in here. Everything looks to have imported just fine. Notice that some of the things you can do in Excel you can also do in Access. Like here, the columns a little, it's at least on my screen, it's not wide enough to show all the data that's there. You can hover over the border between the two columns, just like in Excel. Double click, and the column will expand to show you everything that's there. You can do that for any of the tables here. Okay. Here we are. Okay, so that's how to get Excel data into Microsoft Access. That was pretty easy, I hope. In the videos coming up, we'll look at what to do with this data.